Good evening to all. Welcome to Agile Network India's panel discussion today. Over to Aniruddha for the panel introduction.
Thank you very much, and hello to everyone, and thanks for joining to today's panel discussion. Thanks to ANI for providing us with this platform to have to organize this discussion. I'm Anirudh. I have been around this industry for the last 17 years. For the last 12 years, I have been interacting with various agile frameworks for the last 3 or 4 years, I have been coaching several teams in their agile journey. And one of the things that has repeatedly me and my team has encountered is continuous delivery. All these past years that I have been working with several agile teams, one of the things that me and my team has been continuously encountering was this concept of continuous delivery. While it was something that we were encountering many times, but it was also something that I was observed that many of the time we treat them in silo as a separate thing that it is. Now, in the last 6 months, if not anything else, but one thing has been very clear that this agile or agility has been the survival factor for many organizations. And also the same time, we have seen a drastic change in the pattern of users' expectations, users' demand. They have been innovating more products. They have been making more and more changes more rapidly. They have been incorporating new features and services in their products. And that has actually put a lot of pressure on the delivery side. They have been needing to meet the expectation for delivering to the customers more frequently. While both these two concepts of agile and the concept of continuous delivery deals at the heart with the concept of frequent, continuous delivery of valuable working software. I cannot help but wonder: do we need to treat them separately, or can they come under the same umbrella, the same mindset, and can actually take us to a more advantageous state? What is the connection? How can they be complementing each other? How can they be relating to each other? Or what is the industry's take on this? What are the people, the experts in the industry thinking about it, doing about it? What are the trends in the market? And more of, if me being a practitioner, if I'm somebody who is relatively new to this concept of continuous delivery, how do I get started? What are the tools, what are the techniques, the frameworks that exist that can help me to actually get started and be successful? To demystify all these questions, we thought, why not to ask it from those people who know it much better than me. So we have been joined by a number of experts from the industry today to shed light on this topic. I will let them confess their own crimes. So we will quickly start with Joyita. Joyita, why don't you introduce yourself a little more to the audience?
Okay, hello everyone. I am Joyita De and I'm currently working as a senior consultant in a company called B Advancy, which actually caters to consultants work in the Asia Pacific and at Southeast Asian regions. I have more than 20 years of experience, of which at least 12 has been working in agile projects. Mostly we started with transitioning like waterfall to agile, and now a major part of my work has been syncing up CMMI processes and agile, and it's here in the CMMI process that I have been hands on with continuous delivery. So, looking forward to a good discussion with the other stalwarts in the panel today. Thank you.
Thanks, Joita. Glad to have you here and hope to hear a lot about your experience, how you are bringing together the practices of MMI and Agile together to help the teams. Very
Mhm.
interesting. With that, let me move to Polash. Polash, why don't you tell a little more about yourself to the audience?
Thanks, Anuruddha, and hi, everybody. So, I currently, my full name is Palash Dasgupta. I'm currently working with a leading private cloud and platform service provider for a leading infra and communication tech company. So I primarily lead the private platform compute and network operations. So one of the key things for me is to be agile, and deliver. So I completely agree with the changing industry scenarios that Aniruddha said, that the demand for delivering faster, delivering better, delivering continuously is increasing by the day. It was as if in any case it was increasing, and now with the last few months in COVID, it has increased a lot. So I've spent a lot of around 20 years in delivering projects and programs for banking, manufacturing, and telecom companies, and have some entrepreneurship experience as well. One of the things that has evolved that I have seen is a lot of disruptions have happened over the last few years, and the need for delivering faster, delivering better, and be more predictable. I think that has increased quite a bit. So in this, the new normal that we call today, or the new era that we are in, I think the need for being agile is very, very pronounced now. I think it means it's not no longer an option for any of us now, I guess. And it would be interesting to find out, how things can improve, and things can be done better in the coming days. So I look forward to this discussion. Thank you.
Sure, sure. Thanks for that background as well. Really interesting. With that, I would like to move to Sanchita. Hey, welcome. Tell us a little more about yourself.
Hi, Aniruddha. Thank you. So, I'm Sanchita Mukhopadhyay, and I work as an Agile coach and consultant in IBM. So, I am practicing Agile for the last, you can say, 7, 8 years, and I am pretty much working at the ground level with with different type of customers that give me pain, happiness, everything, day in day out. So. I'm really excited to talk about, agile, agility, and continuous delivery, how these are all integrated. And also, I am really excited to hear from all the other panelists. So that's about me.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, I'm already intrigued by the type of experience that you bring. But we have another one actually, Shomo. Hey.
Hi, Amrita, and hi to all the panelists out there, the esteemed panelists. I would say I'm really looking forward to the discussion with them on this particular front, where I've spent most of my years, starting from the year when I first graduated from college and entered the industry. So I have been all 10 plus years of experience in IT consulting, and off recently I've also switched to marketing and strategy. So I've worked in organizations like TCS, Nokia, Deloitte, Ascendant Solutions, and currently I'm working in Spot, and I'm helping their business as well. So the roles that I've gone ahead and donned are, I would say, starting as a individual contributor, then graduating to a team lead, also a Scrum Master, product owner, project manager, and then of recently I'm also heading the marketing and strategy domains. So I've been involved in these companies, as I already said. Some of my notable contributions in this arena have been in the form of increasing the agile maturity of my organization, to a proactive level. So it was at the nascent, at the dormant stage, and it was not, helping. And I have been, instrumental in going ahead and increasing the agile maturity together with the leadership of my organization. So I've also overcome successfully some of the other resistance that I got from the various clients and also from my organization as well. I've been able to successfully mold them in the agile way of work. And last but not the least, one of my critical contributions were also to go ahead and ensure that we go ahead and successfully migrate from the manual code, which was very, very painful, as you, Sanchita, and also some of the other panelists also said, the manual version of the code deployment to the CI/CD approach. Some of which I'm very eager to go ahead and discuss about. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the discussion on it.
Sure, sure. I think we all are geared up. That's exciting to hear. Or should I get it? Oh, okay, great then. So with that, with Rohit's permission and all of you being so excited, I know that many of you, at least four of you for sure, eat and breathe agile as well as continuous delivery on a daily basis. So this topic might be meaning a lot of things to you, but I just wanted to get started with some basics. Not everybody may be very well versed with or maybe having still some confusions related to what this terminology actually means. So I will go straight to Sanchita without any delay. Sanchita, would you like to define continuous delivery to us in the context of this discussion? What should we interpret it, and how does it fit into the overall paradigm of agile? What do you think about it? Let's start with that.
Okay, so thank you, Anirudh. So to start with, the name itself says continuous delivery. That means what? Deliver continuously, and in agile terms, what we say, deliver working software incrementally with frequency, right? So now when we say in agile terms, so when we start practicing agile, we go through two things. One is agile manifesto, another is agile principle. So what it talks about, frequent delivery, or rather I would take the term continuous delivery. So it's all about, agile manifesto says, give focus on working software. Okay, just don't go by that contract negotiation every time, which is important, but focus on working software. And what is working software? If you do not have continuous delivery, working software is not possible. That means every time, anytime, I as a customer should have working software in my environment. So we are really going in agile way. Now, if you are aware of agile principle, what is agile principle saying? That satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Now, do we really say that after going through this agile manifesto point and our first agile principle, do you think that continuous delivery and agile, they are something different? I believe that they are integral part of agile development. Like continuous delivery is integral part of agile development. That is my opinion. Why? Because the principle of continuous delivery is to deliver continuously the working software in shorter iteration. I mean, when we say working software, what happens? I deliver it in the environment and the changes might come, and it could be anything. It could be new feature, it could be a bug fix, it could be a configuration change, or it could be a kind of experiment. So anything on this treated as continuous delivery that our customers really love to see in their environment. So I know that there are many organizations, or there are many customers who are actually getting continuous delivery, maybe unknowingly. There are many organizations or customers who are really focusing on continuous delivery. So maybe we will get to know, if we have time, maybe we'll get to know more about this. But what my what do you say, opinion is that continuous delivery is integral part of agile development.
Sure, Sure, that's interesting. That's interesting how you related it to the agile principles. When I was listening, that was really, really interesting. And I was also thinking that yes, the agile principles actually talked about frequent and continuous delivery of working or valuable software to our customers in terms of giving them their business advantage, giving them, keeping them satisfied. And in that way, for that matter, these two are integral. That's an interesting thought. Shomo, what do you think about that? How would you like to define that?
Absolutely. So I couldn't have agreed more with whatever Sanchita has gone ahead and said. So just going from the point where she has actually brought it from the Agile Manifesto. So I'll try to link it with more of from the industry point of view. Where if you just go ahead and think about any company, any company in any sector whatsoever, so they are always looking on the or on the verge of looking for some of the other kinds of profits because that's the market need as such, and also the demand from their perspective. So they want quick feedback from the customers. If the customer is able to give them the feedback, just within a matter of a day, how things are going, and if they are actually liking the product, then they would be the happiest. So what they would actually want to look forward to from the company's perspective is to have the deliverables or the outputs in the form of small batch sizes, which they can go out and deliver, with high frequency. And in that regard, streamlining the whole process from the concept perspective to the cash perspective, and also, adhering to or following the lean principles is the call of the day. So now I will also go ahead and talk a bit about the continuous delivery perspective. If I just go ahead and talk from the software background out there, so we'll go ahead and see that continuous delivery is nothing but the building, the testing, the regression or the unit testing, whatever you go ahead from the software terminologist point of view, and also moving on to the staging and the deployment and getting the builds ready to be deployed. So what we do at the end of that is we go ahead and release valuable software, which Sanchita also went ahead and put. So we need to go ahead and deliver valuable product faster and in an assured manner, so that we go ahead and get the valuable feedback from the customer as one moves along. So what we also have as some of the other mechanisms are something like definitions of done, which many of us out here in the esteemed panel as well as the audience would definitely agree. So we have that definitions of done where we have to go ahead and check each and every point, kind of a checklist, and then only go ahead and release the same to the customer. The customer comes back and we are very happy, and that's the way in which we ensure that not only one increment but slowly and gradually all the other increments are also coming in place, and things are happening very perfectly. Excuse me. So in that regard, if we just go ahead and think from the interdependence point of view, that is between the agility as well as continuous delivery. So what I would say is that continuous delivery is something which should not work without agility. Right? We need agile teams. We need agile software. So unless we have agile software, continuous delivery is not good. And likewise, the other way around as well. So I couldn't have agreed more that both are very very cross linked and very very interdependent, and that's the way of the day. Honorable.
Nice, nice. No, no, I liked it when you say when you are describing that how the end-to-end process of completing the definition of done in our daily delivery cycles, whether it is sprint, whether it is any other iteration, the how that is ultimately contributing to the overall objective of the agile principles and manifesto. That's interesting. But there are other terms that I also keep hearing alternatively. Like we are talking about continuous delivery, but I also see it very frequently being alternatively used along with continuous deployment. So are these two things same, different? What is that? Continuous deployment, continuous delivery. That's the thing.
Absolutely, and I would say you have brought one very key thing out here, which is very practical as well. And many a times we get confused whether those are same or whether those are different or not. So what I would say is continuous deployment is one step ahead of continuous delivery in a way in which continuous deployment goes ahead and ensures the technical capability from the organization's point of view or the project's point of view to continuously deploy something to the live production environment. So now that decision to deploy to the live production environment can't go ahead and happen from the team's perspective alone. So So the business side or the business perspective, the business team needs to be also involved in those decisions and need to go out and ensure that the software is getting deployed or not. So once it gets approved by the business, once it gets deployed to the environment, so then on, from that point on, we can say that the continuous delivery rolls in. So the way in which we go out and deploy and we go out and deliver, the continuous delivery goes on and kicks in from that perspective. So what I would say is continuous deployment is one step ahead or even up and over the continuous delivery with the business coming in the forefront from that perspective.
Okay. Okay, so that's continuous delivery, continuous deployment you were talking about, and all the other big buzzwords these days like DevOps or DevSecOps. How does that relate to it?
Yeah, so the DevOps perspective or the DevOps kind of scheme of things, I would say also goes out and very keenly relate to the concept of continuous delivery. In many terms and in common parlance, we have also gone ahead and seen that DevOps is very closely related or even comes out of continuous delivery as well. So I would say it's very integral, a very key thing out here in the common parlance out here. And somewhere down the line, from DevOps perspective also, when the business goes out and comes in forth, so then also, the way in which we go out and see from the perspective of continuous deployment also goes out and comes in play. So I would say all these 3 or 4 terms are correlated or interrelated, and we take it accordingly forward.
Hmm. Hmm. So one thing that I was getting from Sanchita and what you have been saying so far is that it is not a thing that is to be treated in silo, but is very much integrated with the overall idea and principles of Agile. It is also very much part of the overall capability of continuous deployment and also DevOps or DevSecOps. These are all the building blocks within that. Is that a right way to put it? Any comments on that, Joita?
Yes, actually, see, putting like I mentioned, my background is like is in CMMI. So what we have the challenge here is we also have to go through the entire life cycle, even if we are doing a daily delivery. Okay, but so the challenge that comes up here is like we have to go like the only I mean there is just not enough time in a day to do the entire cycle. Okay, because if you have something deployed and then you have to go and deliver that. With deployment we need not worry actually about the testing part, but when we go into a delivery we have to have it thorough. It should be synced up with the hardware and with everything, with the entire infrastructure. It should be in sync with the sales team also. So I think the to do an efficient delivery, the key factor here is to actually automate some of the like some of the regular work. Like apart from automating their actually it is almost impossible manually to do it. It's impossible manually actually to do an entire delivery without like and just not open up like one side of ours for many errors. So that's how like actually the challenge here is to do a complete testing, maybe automated, maybe manual, but that is how it goes.
Okay, okay, that's interesting. So I think there's so many different concepts that you guys have guys were talking about. The mindset, of course, that got I would say because you were as you were integrating it, as Sanchita was explaining, integrating it with Agile principles, Agile manifesto, that's basically getting it integrated within the overall Agile mindset, and then with the different practices of DevOps, DevSecOps, which are so much in news these days, in discussion these days. So with that, I would probably go to Polash. Polash, with all that we have heard so far, the different concepts, the different practices, the mindset, what do you see in the industry? What do you see in the practice? That what is the state? What is the maturity of this of continuous delivery in the industry in general?
Thanks, Anuradha. So, I would say, see, agile principles and these, talk about and the practices of these DevOps is not new. I think, we have been hearing about this and have been working on this kind of concepts and principles for quite a few years now. And going back to what Sanchita was saying, that a lot of organizations and practices are also consciously or knowingly or unknowingly probably doing it. They may not be doing it as a structured agile process or a practice, but they might be doing it as part of their day-to-day work. So obviously, there is some work which is happening. But let's come to the structured part of it, where the organizations are actually bringing in, those practices as part of their, functioning. So I think, some years back, we used to have companies where the companies that would deploy software daily was less than 20% or something. I think that has now increased to, I hear in some cases it has gone to approximately 40% plus. And I think we are maturing, and we are maturing fast. There has been a fair amount of awareness, I would say. But with this COVID scenario in the last two quarters, a little bit more, I think there has been a realization of a more faster adoption. So I think that way, that is definitely going to help in the way we want to move fast and move forward. And you have some very practical examples to look at. I think there are examples where the lead times has improved by 30%. You have deployment effort which has improved by 40%. Deployment hours and efforts has, and MTTR has reduced by 50%. So these are some very specific numbers which to target for companies which are getting started probably, and for those who are already somewhere aligned in the journey. These are numbers which they can improve upon. Another thing is, like, the kind of tools that you are using. I believe, currently there is, if I look at the overall experience, I don't want to specifically name, but I think there is a very high dependency on specific service providers and tools nowadays, until now. But with this demand for continuous delivery rising, I think there is going to be a lot of competitive activities around. So one small example, I'll take a little time to quote about a bank, which had a lot of financial inclusion products that has been offered over many years. And then comes a new core banking upgrade, which means that a lot of these products cannot be integrated, at least by the conventionally node methods or the usual methods that they had been deploying. But come in the agile and this CI/CD concepts. So as part of that, this overall migration, a lot of interesting work was done by the concerned software, and also the stakeholders, the business stakeholders. Net, what you brought in was delivery that was migrations in small drops, in both in terms of features and scopes. So you never had a product or a business downtime, and then the experiences that we were there was incorporated in the next releases. I think that goes with the basic ethos of the continuous delivery. Deploy, measure, take feedback, and put it back to your next releases. So that's how probably it has to work. And from a maturity perspective, I think look at the continuous operational metrics, and of course there is a lot of ground to cover. So I think that's how I would look at it.
Interesting, because very I was very intrigued by the statistics that we were talking about in terms of increase in the lead time, increase in or the overall efficiency. Very recently, I'd like to add to that. Very recently, we were looking at the State of Agile report, and they had a certain numbers that they have calculated out of their survey results related to DevOps adoption. And almost 76% of their survey respondents said that they either already have a DevOps initiative that is going on in their organization or planning to have it in the next 1 year. So 76 is quite a high number, which is actually, and as it was, if we compare it with the similar type of numbers which were reported in the previous report, we actually can see an increase in the adoption rate in the global market. So that's good. Joyita, I'll go to you with this data point. Joyita, in which direction do you see it is moving? How much of awareness or focus do you see related to this in the industry?
This, as we all know, is the age of quick turnarounds. Okay, most of the customers, or like when we started working in the industry, we were busy actually converting legacy applications maybe to what was called new technology then, and those used to take like we had a turnaround time of almost 1 year or so. But now we don't have a scenario like that. So this is the age of quick turnaround, and for a quick turnaround we need to go with the continuous delivery. For example, like you see the apps that are being made and marketed, some of them are made almost overnight. So continuous delivery is going to be here, and and continuous delivery is going to be here. I mean, it's already here and it is here to stay. There is not going to be any second thoughts on it. So anyone who does not do continuous delivery will be increasingly left behind, because customers bring in changes and they want the changes to be done say overnight. It usually takes a lot of convincing, okay, to tell the customer no, there is a rationale behind it, we need. But there is no time, absolutely, because there is already maybe some other competitor who is going to actually deliver it maybe in a few hours. So the current situation and the yeah, and the competition that is there, it makes it imperative that all the companies adapt to continuous delivery.
Hmm.
And it
Hmm.
is yes, absolutely, continuous delivery is here to stay. And so and it, of course, it's going to have to, like, it's going to have to move beyond software, like into the other departments also, to align themselves continuous delivery.
Hmm. That's an
And the
Yeah,
interesting concept.
Anirudh,
and
one point which I want to add on to what Joita is saying, that yes, it's a time for speed. It's time for faster delivery or faster deployment. But one thing also, I mean, all the industry people, they need to be aware of, that is, it's not that because someone else is doing automation,
right.
DevOps, or continuous delivery, whatever, I also will do. So don't just go by the flow. Understand your system, understand
Mhm.
your process, and analyze how similar is your business with their business, or the difference between both of you. And then you figure out whether really you need to go for this, automation thing, continuous deployment thing. So it's a lot about, experiments, a lot about analysis, research, everything should be done. So it's good to do this, but again, you need to understand your system, your process, because I'm just telling that from my experience, because recently I have been into in one system which is extremely complicated. The process, the
Mhm.
business process is very complex, and the ask is DevOps. Okay, so they want to move into, that CI, they want to build their CI/CD pipeline because they have seen some other organization in the same industry, some other organization they have done it. But really, when we analyze that, it there are some pieces or some sections which are really not gelling along with. I mean, if we try to create a pipeline, that will not gel around and things will be a mess. So that is another
Absolutely, you're
point
right.
from my end.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you that we have to, yeah, we cannot like just do it to keep up with the Jones or something. But even in similar industries, people are actually, like, people have gone on and like automated some of their processes. There is a lot of scope for automation here. I mean, there is absolutely, you are right, Shunjita. There is no scope absolutely for cutting corners. Okay, we have to have a complete delivery, and one way I think of working around that is actually automating it. Some of the code review maybe can be automated, some of the testing can be automated, so that if you do a delivery every day, you can do one full round of code test, you can do one full round of code review, and you can also do one full round of testing, because the processes which maybe would have taken a month are now taking few hours only.
Hmm. Hmm. So you are saying that there is both a demand from the customer side for having more continuously software being more continuously delivered to them, and this is somewhere being realized by the industry people as well to adopt to this. I would just like to complement this with one data point that again will refer to the State of Agile report. There almost 90% of the respondents, they say that the DevOps initiative is important for their business. So
Mhm.
yes, I guess I can understand where you are coming from, your practical experience of the industry, that what you see, what you have experienced in terms of people's awareness. I will go to Paula. Do you also, or maybe this time I'll go to Shomo, asking Shomo, do you also see the same, or do you see some challenges in adoption of the continuous delivery in the industry as well? In contrast.
Sure, Anirudh. What I would say is, try to come up with a couple of experiences from my own, arena. The first being in telecom domain, where we had a team and we wanted to go ahead and come up with the CI/CD, entire framework being implemented for that particular project. So I was the CI/CD expert out there, but then when I went ahead and proposed to the client that apart from or aside from the 3 months or around 4 months that they were asking for till, working on that particular software, so we needed a couple more to go ahead and have the entire framework up and running. So it's not something like, as Sanchita also rightly pointed out, that just going ahead and looking into someone's automation and try to copy it, or just kind of apply some jugaad kind of things and come up with some of the other automation won't be helpful. So it needed some kind of research and also some kind of project which actually fitted that particular environment whatsoever. So from that perspective, they were initially reluctant, but then with the help of my team members as well as some from my senior management, we could actually went ahead and were able to successfully deliver the continuous delivery from that project's perspective. Also, there was another project from the manufacturing perspective where it was already running 2 years down the line when I went ahead and entered. And I was supposed to lead that team from the delivery as well as the continuous integration perspective. But again, so that that project was entirely in a mess, and the mess was kind of the new normal for them. So making them agile mature was initially a bit challenging, and I had to come up with some of the other metrics and try to go ahead and prove to them that, see, you are not delivering projects in the relevant sizes whatsoever. So you're creating kind of a lot of backlog in the inventory, and things are not moving in. So you don't have the right batch sizes, and those requirements are coming at any point of time. You're also sending out delivery at any other point of time. Everything is a mess, and but still, again, people are happy. So I say that you would be more happy as a, or rather happier when you switch on to this paradigm of continuous delivery. So they went ahead and successfully took it after some initial bit of reluctance. So there was always some resistance whatsoever, but then again we went ahead and fought it. So those were some of the challenges, I would say. So apart from that. When we go ahead and see some of the other pipelines in some of my other projects whatsoever I've gone ahead and implemented. So there was a buzzword out there that Jenkins is and also apart from Jenkins, the other tools whatever came in play was something which should have been or is kind of go to for any kind of pipeline. So now Jenkins and other features whatsoever comes as part of that might be definitely helpful, but not in all cases whatsoever we went ahead and found. So some places they were fast, some places they were slow. So slow deployments of those pipelines are not going to help us in any form whatsoever. So, and there is also need of effective logging matrix, especially from the modern software's point of view. So, any modern software, any complex software, wherever we go out and have a need to have kind of continuous delivery, needs some of the other kind of logging or some kind of matrix, which is also sometimes referred to as operational telemetry. So, apart from that, you should not underinvest in build and deploy. So that's something which you always go out and see from any organization's perspective. Continuous integration delivery or such kind of things. Okay, we might go out and take, but let's go out and deliver what the customer, the client is asking me at first place. No, we should not go out and do that whatsoever. So also we should, not be going ahead with the blind pursuit of things which Sanjay rightly pointed out. I would say I need not want to repeat. And of course, we need to refactor the software systems as and when required. So that's something which is also something which is very, relevant and very important. So we can't just sit back, enjoy and relax, saying that the things are going good, so let's go ahead and take our hands off. So let's go ahead and no, we need to always continuously evolve. We need to fit ourselves in the paradigm also. So that then only we can go ahead and be delivering the need of the hour at this point of time. And one of the key observations which I also had during this point of time was that we should not link any database with the continuous delivery. So whenever it is a database oriented or database heavy kind of continuous delivery of the software that we keep, the things become very very slow, and it makes life very very difficult for the software engineers. So these are some of the other challenges which I faced, and I believe that these can be mitigated the way in which I was referring to. Honorable.
Yeah, sure. No, what I particularly found very interesting in your response is that you brought in the examples from one from telecom, one from manufacturing, but the essence that I got there was that it is important that it is not only about following what is popular in your industry, but to understand your context, understand the need of the customer, and taking those actions which actually can satisfy and deliver to the expectations of the customer. And also, you mentioned about having a monitoring on that, putting the right matrices in place so that you can look at the efficiency of the processes that you are implementing
Absolutely.
and can actually adapt to that. That's what I understood. Interesting. Palash, I'll go to you in now, I guess. Asking, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Yeah, okay. Your camera went off. No problem. So, Polash, we just heard from Shomo from two different, regarding his experiences in two different industries. What do you see? What do you see lacking or people struggling with, or what do you think are the prerequisites of having such a continuous delivery established in the industry?
Um, to start with, I would say, you need to have a culture and a mindset where you are, agreeing that, you need agile practices in your organization, and you need to bring in continuous delivery as part of that. So, from a leadership perspective, I think it would mean that you should definitely percolate and have a common view as an organization in terms of have a shared goal, and have the communication done between the stakeholders, whether it is the development, QA, operations, or the customers. I mean, depending upon whoever it is. So, as a collective, you need to be having that common culture and mindset that this is what you want to go for. And once you do this between the various functions, you definitely, along with the quality assurance, I think that is probably the first step. In addition to that, I think there is also a need for very very clear governance to make sure that you are taking things together in a very disciplined manner. And as usual with anything else, I think there has to be a strong collaboration and communication that the leadership has to ensure. Um, in addition to that, I think there has to be a very structured approach towards it. Uh, Purely talking from a software perspective, I think you need to have CIs that are probably has been well defined, has been planned, and are in place and working to move to move to a proper continuous delivery model. Uh, as Joita was saying a while back, continuous delivery is all about doing things fast, and you probably cannot do the entire cycle without automation. So you need to have that proper automation processes and automation in place, and proper version control of everything that you do, so that you can move in and move out of things. Which is again what agile is all about. And then you need to also have, since we don't work in silos, you need to have those the tools and procedures that are shared between the teams, and having a common understanding and knowledge of it. That's very important in terms of the structure that you need to have. And finally, I guess there has to be a good amount of conviction and convincing between the teams and the stakeholders themselves. The infrastructure and the overall atmosphere must need to be very friendly, which looks at a common goal which has been set up by the leadership, as I said earlier, and it has to be in an environment where you are looking at deployments which are stress free and event free kind of stuff. So you move in smoothly and deploy smoothly. And obviously, you have to have ways to have this version control which moves into production, and once it has moved into production, you should have a very robust way of measuring feedbacks and outcomes, and of course translate those feedbacks and outcomes into your original development cycle and delivery cycle. So I think if these prerequisites are in place, I think you are looking at a very stable and successful start.
Yeah. So what I was particularly noticing in your response is that it was in the prerequisite that you were saying it was not only about the technology or infrastructure that you spoke about. Definitely, you spoke about continuous integration, automation, version control, those things. But at the same time, you brought in the perspective of how a mindset or the organization structure or the leadership buying can also be some of the prerequisites of having a successful integration of continuous successful implementation of continuous delivery. You also spoke about particularly putting measurement on the outcome of such a process being implemented. So with all those, so there's a cultural aspect you spoke about, a technical aspect you spoke about. What do you think? What is lacking? What is lacking there? Are we all set with all of this, or something you see lacking?
So I think these typical prerequisites that I was talking of are kind of easier said than done. I think first of all, getting that mindset, getting towards any kind of a change is by itself meets through a resistance. So whenever you talk to your stakeholders about changing something or bringing in something new, there is a definite change. So that is one. So I think the what is lacking behind, so resistance comes from a lack of knowledge about things and the perceived outcomes out of it. So I think that is something which is very important. Communication, I think, is one important thing that we do not that I see a big showstopper in many cases. So here also it comes out to be communication as one thing. The other thing that I see lacking is the version controlling systems and the the responses against it. uh, I think in software industry we have seen a lot of cases, especially in our pre-agile days and things like that, where we used to have a deployment which goes wrong, and then a lot of anxious moments later, and a lot of it is like we talk of a lot of things that went regressive in nature. So that is one, and finally measurements not having the right metrics does will mean that you do not know what to measure and how, whether it is in terms of times, whether in terms of outcomes, whether it is in terms of performance, either way. So if you have to have a successful thing, I think you need to have the right kind of communications done. You need to have the right kind of software and controls and systems, and you need to have the right metrics and systems. And I completely agree with what Shoma was discussing on similar lines. What he discussed about, and I think that's the way to go. And without that, you are in trouble.
Okay. Okay. You brought in the concept of communication being one of the crucial factor. You and can probably give rise to resistance, lack of knowledge. You mentioned about Paula, is very interesting. See, what I would add something from my own personal experience is that I have seen that the practitioner group that we have, right? The people who are doing software development, from they are many of the time technically very knowledgeable in terms of how to implement this type of a CI/CD pipeline, or maybe how to integrate their processes within the DevOps. Uh, but many of the time there we go through approval processes, right? We all work with our bosses. So nothing happens unless that boss is convinced and gives a nodding, right? No matter how capable, how many version control systems you have, and how much you are knowledgeable in that, nothing happens without a yes from your boss. So how do I convince my boss? Very straightforward. For CI, for continuous delivery, how do I convince my boss to go for it? What would be your suggestion, Paula?
Okay, so I think very rightly said, Aniruddha. I think at times the approval processes are more difficult than the actual work itself. So yeah, so to convince the boss, I think the boss would definitely be having some reasons why he does not agree to bringing in a agile process or a continuous delivery process in the organization. Or so I think it has to be completely, the discussion has to focus around the benefits. What benefit does the aid give to the stakeholders? So if it is to the boss, I mean, to the boss, I mean, it is all about the organization, the business, and the practices. What is that I'm going to improve in terms of my organizational business and practices? How are the internal functions going to improve? So I think there are certain metrics that we talked about. So we can always refer to those metrics in a parallel organization or in the industry, which tells that these are the things that we can improve as an organization internally. Very importantly, I think everything is all about, we are all talking business here, so there are some very specific rupee, euro, dollar numbers that we have to talk about. So there has to be a clear cut financial benefit that has to come out of it. It could be short term, it could be long term, but there has to be definitely a financial cost benefit analysis that points to a greener future. And obviously there are users, there are stakeholders, and we have to make it very clear to the boss what it means for them. Maybe it means something which is faster, maybe it means something which is simpler, maybe it is something which gives a better user satisfaction. So everything is, if you look into the terms that I said, these are all metrics and measurements. I only translate it as a benefit to the organization and stakeholders in pure numbers. So I think, so what I'm saying is that the points that I was talking about was all about metrics. So once you have all the numbers in place on how it benefits each of the stakeholders, how it benefits the balance sheets, I think you will have a boss who is going to agree to your plans.
No, no, that's assuring. So, okay, at least what I understand here is that it's not enough to look at it as just a mere technical process, but we need to make sure that we understand and articulate and communicate the business benefits, in specific terms, if it is possible to quantify it. You talked about like clear cut financial cost benefit analysis as well. So if that is possible, if it is quantifiable, to identify those business benefits that it brings to our organization, business, or practices, or how our internal processes are going to improve. If we can communicate that properly to our boss, we may find a way through him. That is really soothing. Great, Polas. Will so with that, all that sorted out, right? So far you guys have helped us define CI/CD. You have helped us differentiate between continuous delivery, continuous deployment. You helped us understand the challenges. You helped us understand, what is lacking, what we need to do. So if with all that understanding, if I'm relatively new to this concept, and if I want to get started with continuous delivery, and my software development team, they have we translate that to continuous delivery. Okay, great. But there are other departments in my organization as well, right? How so me changing it, me adopting it to continuous delivery in my software development, how what does it imply to others? How do other departments, how do they catch up? Shomo, your comment I'd be looking for on this.
Sure. So a very pertinent point indeed, I would say. So it's not only the software department that work. Software is obviously for some of the other benefit for other departments as well to take forward. So what I would say is that if you are doing great in terms of getting faster and reliable software from the software department, why not translate the same to the other departments as well? The departments can't work in silos. Software department specifically can't work in silos, and as such, we can't let the good work being done by the software department getting undone. So what we need to go ahead and see to it that whatever good work we are doing or whatever efficiency we are trying to garner from one of the other continuous delivery measures that we are going ahead and implementing in the software department, the same needs to go ahead and get translated to the others. So what ideally would the organizations look for is one of the key problems out here as well from the terms of the holding costs. So the greater the holding costs as such, the more the pressure the companies go out and face as such, and also they have to go out and then somewhere down the line deliver small batches and more frequently rather than large batches less frequently, as I also mentioned in some of the other questions out there previously. So once we do that, once we maintain the flow whatsoever from the operational perspective, also from the organization's point of view, we are also maintaining that the other departments also comply accordingly. So if it is small, so it is easier to manage rather than if it's big and not managed as such, it is not going to help. So there itself, continuous delivery comes in play. So what I would say is that there is always a need to adapt and evolve. So if there is one of the other departments which is kind of blocking the path of the software department, let's remove that impediment. Let's evolve. Let's adapt and try to make the model more cohesive so that each and every units or departments go ahead and join each other, combine to one another as such as well. Just like say, for example, the current scenario, the current COVID scenario, businesses have been evolving also. So if any business goes ahead and adopts these continuous delivery mechanisms, so the other departments also need to comply simultaneously. And if they don't, then the business is not going to gain as much. And as Palash also mentioned that the metrics, whatever the boss is going to go ahead and look for, is not going to improve irrespective of whatever the budget they got and put in continuous delivery. So we need to have clean code, we need to have efficient code, we need to have reliable software, we need to be agile. If the software is not agile, the agile team can't also be agile. So once we have ensured that, the other departments also need to be agile, needs to comply to the software department, and yeah, things will flow on accordingly. On
Yeah, yeah. So what I understand is they need to change in to adapt to this new way of working. Shantita, I would go to you to take your comments on this if possible. Uh, so what implication do you see for continuous delivery on other departments?
Okay, so I'd say that what Shoma is saying that yes, that's important that all the departments should be in sync, should be harmonized, and a process should be established so that all departments can work together simultaneously. But there is a challenge, we always say that we are DevOps, okay, development team, operation team, all have to work together. And sometimes we see the tendency that we are forcing them to go to DevOps, okay. So I'm just talking about the challenge that what we need to consider that as well, that instead of forcing from day one, we need to spread the awareness. We need to educate all the departments enough about why this is important. That is one of the major thing I can share from my experience, that when there is less awareness, there is less knowledge or less education about why are we doing this, then that becomes a disaster sometimes, okay. But if you have proper knowledge, if you have all the approvals in place, and if you with your communication skill or convincing skill or whatever the way you see it, coaching skill, if you are able to convince everyone that this is the way forward, and this is we should adopt, you know, for this benefit. So if I show them the benefit, if I show them the reason, and if I also show them what is in there for me, for us, then it's a win-win for everyone.
Excellent. So what you were saying that though it has an implication on the other department, but it should not be something which is imposed on the other department, but rather should be done in coordination with them, in agreement with them, making them realize that what it could mean to them. So with that thought, I would like to go to Polash. Polash, what do you think? What the other departments should do? If I have to ask you, what benefits the other departments can possibly get to take part in this type of an initiative?
So I think I completely agree with what we just discussed about having people together. So I think there are two kinds of things that that benefits. So whether it's a similar software organization, I mean software handshaking that you're doing, or it's a functional team that we are talking about in terms of the other department. So it's obviously faster software builds, which I guess it's pretty technical, and for any other software team, it's a great thing to have. When you have automated mechanism, you get quicker test results, and product faster product deployment. I think these are all certain benefits which meets which rings a bell with anybody for that matter. So I think that is one thing which definitely that thought process has to percolate. And obviously, then we are talking of with all these improvements, what does it mean eventually? It eventually means that you have a better time to market. So when you have a better time to market, you probably are going ahead of competition. You are probably doing things faster. You probably are evolving faster, which is which is today's market is all about that only. And with that, you are probably also talking of better profitability, better ROI. So look at it in terms of a functional team. I mean, what do they want? Eventually, that is what they want: better time to market, better profitability, better ROI. So I think those things have to be understood by all people concerned, even from a functional perspective. Coming back to again software, it's all about better code quality, right? I mean, what with reduced integration costs in a long term, what with automated tests. I mean, you are saving so much of time and effort for people. So if you put, whether it is a software team or whether it's a functional team, whatever it is, end of the day, what you're talking of is better efficiency. So educate your people, talk to them, communicate with them, and you're talking of better efficiency. So I think that should augur a positive outlook and approach towards whatever you are proposing in terms of your CD that you're talking about.
Okay. So what I understand you saying is that it's not only that if it is implemented, it's not only that it is the software development process that is getting better, but it's actually to the benefit of the overall organization's profitability as well, their ROI as well. And if that is happening at the org level, if an overall organization is more profitable, more successful with its customers and clients, that benefits get calculated to everyone. It's not only, it's actually then a win-win situation for all the departments, all the functional areas as well, along with software development. That I think that's convincing. For others, it's okay. Who doesn't like being profitable? So that's okay. So with that, I think we have. If I look at the path that you guys took us through so far, I think we understand that how continuous delivery fits into the overall concept of agile, how it connects with the overall agile values and principles. We looked into some of the trends in the market, what type of awareness that exists there, in what direction we are moving. We also took us through how what is the state maturity, what is the challenges in the adoption, though Shomo spoke about the different industries approach, and Sanchita highly spoke about not just following blindly others, but understand your own context, understand your own customers, and deliver to their expectation for a successful thing. Paula helped us devise some of the ways we should be looking at continuous delivery to convince our bosses, convince other departments, take all of them on board, and how it can actually contribute to the overall profitability and the benefits of the organization. With all that, said and discussed, I would we open up for the question and answer. I will go one to each of the panel members. Now, if I'm ready to implement, what would be your one tips or suggestions or an advice related to a pitfall that I should be aware of, a challenge that I should first address? What would be that one tip from your side for me if I have to go and implement continuous delivery now? I will start with Sanchita. Sanchita.
Yes, so I would like to suggest that start with small. So do not rush for too much too soon. Start with small project or something small piece of work and then move forward. That's one thing I'd like to say.
Okay. Okay. We'll move to Shomo.
Yeah, what I would rather suggest is, having the right kind of mindset, because that's the need of the hour. So if you have to, look forward to any profits or any gains or, winning something in the short period of time or so, we need the right mindset so that, we can at least, mature or make others mature in the agile perspective, or we can have others also in the same way. So if you need to grow, we need to have a similar kind of mindset.
Okay. Joita.
Yes, yes. While I agree, it has to be it has to be small. We have to start small, and we have to change the mindset. But there is one small thing I want to add here, and which is actually important is having a like yeah. And I think someone mentioned like buy-in from the boss because we show our numbers and see how it is working up. But the important thing I would work on is having good governance. Okay, making sure that like there is a discipline in the implementation. If there is a discipline in the implementation, it will eventually give us more benefits. Like there will be yeah, there won't be cost overruns or schedule overruns. So the key thing I would do is actually having good governance and discipline implemented.
Okay. Okay. Kailash.
I would suggest defining metrics and measurements early in the day. Very measurable things, and having a very disciplined approach in measuring them on a predefined interval or periodicity. That's a make or break.
Okay. Okay. Uh, so great. So we have got four quick tips. I liked when Sanchita you said that you know what, you don't have to stay. You can start small. You can take your learning from there and can probably use it to scale bigger. So which is very important. And in that case, I think if I can relate it to the previous discussions that you were having related to other departments and understanding the concept, it can also help you to do that. Most probably that is where it is coming from because you spoke largely about that, Sanchita. So I get that. Shomo, you spoke about having the right mindset. I think that's extremely important, as we understood from many of your comments throughout the discussion. It's not going to one man's game. It's going to be a coordinated and well understood initiative across departments. So it's a mindset that's going to run all of them together and not only some technical changes. Joyita very interestingly spoke about good governance and discipline, and I think the early definition of matrices and being and disciplined way of measuring them that Paula's mentioned goes hand in hand with that. So yes, of course, I think having and that probably Paula would also help to realize the benefits and to communicate the benefits to higher management to keep on the sponsorship that you highly spoke about during the discussion also would be outcome of that. So with that, I think those are some great points. We can now open it up for question and answer. I think we have a few. So Goel sir asked at the very early part of discussions related to, would it not be essential to have agility culture across all functions in the organization to ensure continuous delivery in incremental mode of working software meeting business needs of the customer? He also said without deployment, the delivered software cannot be working at the customer end. These were his very early comments during the very beginning of our discussion. We can actually discuss that, but then I also see another comment towards the end of our discussion from Goel sir saying that my question about agility culture indirectly has been discussed. But yeah, I think you all spoke highly about the culture and the organization structure, the mindset, and also the coordination between different departments. What continuous delivery as a decision on the software development side may imply to the other departments, how they can get impacted, what type of changes do they need to make in them, and what can actually drive them, what can actually motivate them. That's all I've talked about being part of a profitable organization. Probably made that. We have another question from Omar. He or Amar. I'm a Bengali. So so, um, he says, what is the difference between DevOps and CI/CD? So, gentlemen, would you like to respond to that? Anyone?
Sure, I would like to take up that question as to highlighting the difference between DevOps and CI/CD. So whenever we talk about the agile perspective, as we have actually gone ahead and discussed a lot about that, from the manifesto to the process to the mindset, and also the faster, the reliable kind of delivery out there. So agile focuses on as such the processes, right? Primarily, I would as such put it as simple as possible. So it focus on the process, the way in which you go out and have faster feedback, the way in which you go out and deliver reliable and so faster software, where it goes out and coincides with the DevOps perspective or the way of thinking. So DevOps is go more about the culture that goes out and highlights the kind of roles that emphasize the responsiveness, the fast responsive stuff that we go out and get from the work or the product that we go out and get or have as such from our end. So one is from the process perspective or the mindset as such. The other is from the culture perspective. So that's the way in which you can broadly differentiate between them.
Any other comments from maybe Shanchita, Joita? Anybody would like to comment on that? Yeah, Paula, please go ahead.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with what Shomo just said. I think agility is more about behavior before all tools and all that. So it's all about being able to switch in and switch out of things, or whichever way you want to phrase your ability to get into things and solve them and move into the next thing. So and then obviously you have the tools that you have to bring in. So I completely agree with what Shomo said.
And what I also see is that, as we build more and more complex applications, it is not enough to be only confined within the development team. It's not. That is the reason when we started from CI/CD, it went to DevOps, that it was very, very essential to bring together the development and the operations team together. And within a few years, we thought that, okay, DevOps is not going to be enough itself. We need DevSecOps. We need to bring in the security guys as well from the very beginning. So, but the mindset, if you look at the underlying mindset of whether it is continuous integration, continuous delivery, or DevOps or DevSecOps, it's about moving left. So integrate all the concerning areas in the early cycle of your development. From the beginning of your development, do not wait for the end or depend on some other departments or a team to come in and then fix the problems for you, which you never really cared about throughout your development cycle. So it's the mindset is in all these different type of cultures. The mindset is moving left. So we try to address the concerns as early as possible, whether it is related to only development and integration, whether it is related to also taking care of the operations part of it, or then also taking part of taking care of the security part of it. Take it as quick, shift left, make the decisions and integrate them as in the early cycles, so that you are not stuck at the end. And that is where you probably will also see the way it is coming to the overall concept of site reliability engineering, or SRE, which is again the next level of this thing, where it is not only about naming those specific departments anymore. It's not only about dev, it's not only about security, it's not only about operations, but all that you need to do to make sure that your site or your product, your application is reliably up and running for the customer. So I think that's the ultimate goal, and do whatever that needs to be done. That we have a more question from Priyank: how to move to DevOps without any expenses? A startup company guy. Priyank, we can see your name, so you're not a startup company guy, but we appreciate the question. And so yeah, anybody wants to take that one up? So the
Uh,
question is how? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so what I would like to, go ahead and say is out here, when we talk about, implementing DevOps into the company's perspective, we are more so thinking from the roles perspective rather than the tools. So that's something which you'll have to be having in mind. It's more of the culture of the people-centric, kind of mindset. So if you're thinking from that perspective, then we'll need some hands. So obviously, we need to incur some cost from the resource point of view, apart from the frameworks or the tools that whatever we are going and considering. So when we talked about the CI or the CD perspective, it was more about the having the softwares or the licenses, and of course some of the other expert would be going ahead with that. But when we talk about the DevOps perspective, it's more from the perspective of people thinking, and also having that kind of culture where they deliver fast, they deliver reliably. So we need to think from the resource perspectives as well. That's as basic as it gets. I don't know whether Priyank would be satisfied with this answer or not. But yeah, open to other thoughts or ideas.
Sure. But in the meanwhile, I see another question from Amar. What is the difference between SRE and DevOps? Amar is a guy who loves user manuals a lot. I think so. But a very very question for sure. Amar, what I would like to say is that the way that we need to so the point is that yesterday it was CI/CD, then it became DevOps, then it became DevSecOps, then it becomes SRE. The underlying mindset, tomorrow it will become something else. Okay. What is important to understand here is that the underlying mindset remained the same. The underlying mindset is it remained to be shifting left, and to address your concern in the early cycles of your development and not wait to get stuck at the end. As long as you understand your context, as many of the panelists were mentioning throughout this, that just do not follow others. If somebody is doing DevOps, I want to do DevOps. If somebody is doing SRE, I want to do SRE, but rather understand your own context well. See what are the concerns that you need to address early in your development cycle, so that you are not stuck at the end. And as long as you can do that, I think you will be all set, and then you can probably name it AMA reliability engineering, and we will be more than happy to discuss it on another panel discussion. So thank you very much for that. I think we are almost at the top of our hours. 3 minutes left. I would like to take this 3 minutes. Yes, ARE. That's our next topic is going to be. The I would like to take this moment to again thank all four of you, Shoma, Joita, Sanchita, Paula. Thanks for providing the time. Thanks for all those people who joined in on a Saturday afternoon, leaving aside many of their important tasks. And thanks to ANI for providing us this platform. I see Rohit coming back online. Giving it back to Rohit. Take it away.
Thanks, Aniruddha, for moderating this amazing panel discussion. And we thank Jaita, Sanchita, Palash, and Somya for being part of this panel as panelists and sharing your insights